Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. Adam, this is out to 3 in favor of the Browns. 40 and a half is the total. We know it does not look like CJ Stroud is going to be able to go, so we are going to get the Browns on the road in perfect conditions inside of a dome against, again, a team down Tank Dell and their starting quarterback. I took a piece of the Browns at 2.5 before it got to 3. I anticipated that CJ Stroud wasn't going to be able to go whenever we heard very at the beginning of the week that he was still seeing some sensitivity to light. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like he's going to be able to clear concussion protocol in the next week. So I took a piece of the Browns at 2.5 at even. Look, you can pay an expensive 2.5. The 3 I think is fine when it all comes down to it. I just, the Texans without basically their entire offense to me is not, it's a shell of the team that we kind of fell in love with.
This Texans team and this Browns team have a interesting similarity from last week in that neither one of them really deserved to win the games that they won, and yet still got hugely important victories for their playoff chances. The question for me comes down to, do you think the Browns defense travels in a way that it hasn't? Now, the question rests on they've been really good on the road and they've been otherworldly at home. I do not expect Houston to be the place where the home field advantage is so significant that it causes a real problem for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco threw 3 interceptions last week and they still won the game. The Houston Texans offense was absolutely horrific last week, and somehow they still won the game. This is about as big of a change in weight class as you could see when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, getting Cleveland coming in. So I haven't played it, but I completely understand where you're at with it, Matt, because in the end, fundamentally, Cleveland is just a better team because of how much reliance there is on CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, the one other thing I would put out there, and like, it's crazy in the year of our Lord 2023. Flacco's passing prop is at 244, and I would play the over. Like, I'm not even kidding. They put Joe Flacco in there and then just redid this entire offense. They were just like, you know what? We can't run it anyway, so to hell with it. We're just going to throw it every single down, and it's worked so far. I mean, yeah, he throws it to the other team every now and then, but like he also throws it to welcome back David Njoku, by the way. Hey, he can play. Who knew? And like, you know, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, like all these different guys going on out there. I think I saw some guy that I didn't even know was still in the league caught a pass with him last week. So I mean, this is you know, getting wild out there. So they have transformed this offense as well to kind of like a YOLO ball offense, which I think lends to any and all Joe Flacco props that you kind of want to play this week.
240. That is way too low. I mean,
yeah.
First 3 games with first game with the Browns, he had 254 on 44 attempts. He's gone over 300 the last 2 games on 44 plus attempts.
You can find a 243 honestly, right now. Yeah.
I might go ladder that. If there's, I think, you know, a couple books out there will let you do some alts on some props. I might go ladder that. That's way too low. Their pass rate since Flacco has taken over has gone from like 27th in the league to 2nd. So they, regardless, I think that's when they're in neutral game state. So that's part of the reason I like Cleveland here as well, because on the defensive side for Houston, Will Anderson is still dealing with a high ankle sprain. That was from 2 weeks ago. So if somehow he is active for this game, I don't think he's going to have anywhere near the explosiveness that you would need for him to be effective. I think that probably mitigates the offensive line concerns we've had for the past couple of weeks with Cleveland. So that's why I bet Cleveland minus 2.5. I would still potentially consider here. I am going to take a little bit of a nibble on the discounted over under here of over 40 because of how often Cleveland is throwing the ball. Yeah. And because of how volatile Case Keenum might give them more feels. It wouldn't shock me in the least if Cleveland like puts up 30 points in this game, to be quite honest with you, because this is a pass defense for Houston overall that's outside the top 20 by most of the advanced metrics. And maybe we see a little bit better of a Texans offense this week now that Nico Collins appears like he is going to come back for Case Keenum when he didn't have him last week.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, I think the 40 is an interesting look as well. I mean, I think it wouldn't surprise me if it wouldn't surprise me at all if Cleveland put up, close to 30 themselves, right? So we're asking very, very little from the Texans in that one.